And now we're going to go into the minor modes. If you remember the one that started on D, that's Dorian. Let's look on the piano again. In the previous video, using white notes, it started on D, that's how it's defined or derived. We were just playing Mixolydian, which has a flat 7. Now, Dorian is going to be just a tad darker. We've got a minor third, so we're entering the minor modes. Half step between 2 and 3, and 6, and flat 7. So it's got two notes different from a major scale. Major scale, perfectly bright and happy. Mixolydian, it's got the funky bluesy flat 7. Now Dorian, flat 3. So the tonic chord is minor, but the 4 chord is major and the 5 chord is minor. If we extend to 7th chords, 1, flat 3, 5, we've got a flat 7, so a minor 7. The 4 chord is a dominant 7 chord with this E flat. That's the flat 3 in C Dorian. And the 5 chord is another minor 7. So a common Dorian kind of jam would be the minor 7-1 chord and the dominant 7-4 chord. One other notable thing is that it retains the major 6. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll see in the next mode that Aeolian has a flat 6, but this major 6 is just a tad brighter. I guess that's why I prefer it sometimes over natural minor. Just that one little difference. Okay, let's go back to the guitar. Again, major scale. It's got the major third and the major 7. Mixolydian with a flat 7. Now we're entering the minor modes. Change my fingering here, so first finger on the 8th fret of the E string, then 3rd finger 10th fret, little finger 11th fret, 1st finger 8th fret. Now you can do, I think, little finger 10th fret, kind of an odd fingering there, in order to get ready to go to the major 6 on the 7th fret of the D string, and a flat 7 on the 8th fret of the D string to your root, little finger. Just a tad darker than Mixolydian, and the tonic is minor. If you extend it to the 7, it's a minor 7. You can play all 6 strings that way, or often we play it this way, barring the 8th fret on the D, G, and B strings, and then flopping the 2nd finger over the A string, just barely touching it with the flesh of the 2nd finger to muffle the A string. So it's a 4-note voicing here. Root, flat 7, flat 3, 5. Then we can go to its 4 chord. The 4 chord in Dorian is a dominant 7. can play it like that, or just the triad major 7, or you may know this 9 chord. 9th chord is barring the top 3 on the 8th fret with the 3rd finger, flopping the 2nd finger over it, also on the 8th fret. This time you want to leave a space between the 3rd and the 2nd fingers to catch the 3rd of the chord with your 1st finger. So we've got 1, 3, flat, 7, 9, 5. I started out the whole series doing a little Dorian jam like that, a minor 7 to the 4 chord, a dominant 9 chord, and doing licks like that's Dorian. The next darkest mode is Aeolian. If we look at it the way it's derived, starting on A of the C major scale and just playing white notes, a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. If we use that formula but start on C, we've got from C, whole step, half step to the minor 3rd, whole step, whole step. Now we've got a half step to a flat 6 or a minor 6, whole step to flat 7, whole step back to the root. Now we've got 3 black notes: E flat, A flat, and B flat. Sounds like this. You probably remember another name for Aeolian mode is natural minor. I tend to call the major scale plain vanilla major, and I call natural minor plain vanilla minor. Sounds just very plain to me. I like to play in natural minor, Aeolian sometimes, but I guess I prefer Dorian. Just that one change, the major 6 of Dorian adds just a little more color, a little more brightness. But the 1 chord in Aeolian natural minor is of course minor. It's a minor mode, and the 4 chord is also minor, and here we got an F minor in the key of C, Aeolian, and the 5 chord also is minor. So the 3 primary chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord are all minor. It makes it quite dark indeed. So you get progressions playing a 1, 4, 5 in Aeolian using different voicings instead of, this is called parallel voicing. Instead I'm putting the 5 on the bottom for the 4 chord and the 3 on the bottom for the 5 chord. Those are called inversions, in case you don't know. Let's go back to the guitar and play Aeolian mode in the key of C. Looks like this. Finger numbers starting with 1st finger on 8th fret of E string. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3. Pretty easy shape to remember. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. If you remember, Dorian was root major 2, flat 3, 4, 5, major 6, flat 7, root. So Aeolian takes the major 6 and makes it a flat 6 or a minor 6, playing it with my little finger on the 11th fret of the A string. So just a tad darker than Dorian. Of course, it's a minor mode. The tonic is minor, but now the 4 chord is minor as well, as is the 5 chord. La da 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 da. One famous song that's in Aeolian is All Along the Watchtower by Bob Dylan, later done by Jimi Hendrix. Aeolian starts on the 6th degree of a major scale, so it's a minor. The 6th chord, the chord built off the 6th degree of a major scale, is a minor chord. The 5 chord of a major scale, down a whole step from 6, is major, and the 4 chord is also major. So you can get a progression like this in Aeolian or natural minor. Minor, major, major. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. All Along the Watchtower. Okay, the next darkest mode is Phrygian. I've learned it's actually pronounced Phrygian mode. These are all Greek names, and the Dorians were one group and the Phrygians were another group apparently. Let's take a look on the piano. In the previous video we played Phrygian mode starting on the 3rd degree of a C scale, or starting on E. Kind of Spanish sounding mode. If we play it in C, we've got from the root a flat 2. Very peculiar, starting right off with a half step. To the minor 3rd, up a whole step to the 4, whole step to 5, to the flat 6, flat 7, back to the root. Sounds like this. Aeolian has the major 2nd, Phrygian the flat 2 or minor 2. I don't use it very much. I think some of the heavy metal guys like to play Phrygian mode. Phrygian mode is just like Aeolian, except it has a flat 2. Aeolian was easy to finger, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. So now we need to take the 3rd finger, make it into a 2nd finger. So the root, half step to flat 2, 2nd finger. Middle finger is minor 3, 1st finger A string, 8th fret, the 4th of the scale. 3rd finger up a whole step from there, that's the 5th. Little finger is the minor 6 or flat 6. 1st finger flat 7 and back to the root. 1 flat 2 flat 3 4 5 flat 6 flat 7 root. If you studied the 5 shapes, this would be the C shape. Here's a C chord. Just so happens if we go down to the bottom of that shape, that's the 3rd note of a major scale. or the first note of the Phrygian scale or Phrygian mode. It's of course a minor mode. The distinctive thing again is that flat 2. So the next darkest mode is the really unusable one, Locrian. Locrian mode was the one that started on the 7th degree of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like Phrygian, it starts off with a half step, and a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. And the tonic chord we saw before is diminished, so rather unusable. If we play it in the key of C, now we've got all black notes. From C, the root, half step to 2, whole step to a minor third, whole step to 4, half step to 5. That makes it a flat 5. We can easily see a diminished chord has a minor third and a flat 5. Flat 6, flat 7, back to the root. Now I've got my first finger on the 8th fret, half step to the flat 2, whole step to a minor third. It has a regular 4, 8th fret of A string with first finger, but a flat 5. So there's another half step between 4 and 5. Whole step to a flat 6. Whole step to a flat 7. Back to the root. If you studied the 5 shapes, this is the same as the E shape where we started, except that now our first finger is playing the root, not the second finger. The tonic chord is a diminished chord. If you want to play this diminished, I've got my second finger, 8th fret, E string. I'm barring the 7th fret from the D, G, and B, but I'm putting my third finger on the 8th fret of the G string, so these voices, and flopping my second finger down, muffling the A string, a 4-voice chord. That's a diminished voicing. And next I'm going to talk about the surprise that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Quick review: major scale or Aeolian. The next mode was Mixolydian with one black note. Next was Dorian with a minor third and a flat 7. Next was Aeolian with a flat 6 and a flat 7. Then Phrygian with its Spanish sounding minor second. Then the unusable Locrian with its diminished tonic chord. If you watched the first video, you'll know that we skipped one, Lydian. Why did we skip Lydian? Well, you notice the logic of this. Here's C, C major. The next darkest was Mixolydian. When we derive the modes, that's up a fifth. The next darkest was Dorian. When we derive the modes, it starts on D. That's up a fifth from G. The next darkest was Aeolian, up a fifth from D, starting on A. The next darkest is Phrygian. If I go down to this A and up a fifth, that's where Phrygian starts. And then from there to B is a fifth. That's where Locrian starts. So that's going in the direction of from bright to dark. Keeps going up in fifths. So theoretically, if we go down a fifth from C, okay, C is the root of the major scale. At the beginning I said it's hard to imagine anything brighter or happier sounding than that, but in theory, and it must be true because this is all really based on physics. You go up a fifth, up a fifth, up a fifth, it keeps getting darker and darker, so we're still missing one. If we go down a fifth, now we're on F. That's the Lydian mode. I'll play it from this F. You remember what the distinctive thing was about Lydian? It was that raised 4. If we play that in the key of C, we've got a root, a 2, a 3, and now we've got a raised 4 or a sharp 4, and a 5, 6, major 7, root. So just one note different from major scale. So it's just one note brighter. To me, that was kind of a surprise when I learned that many years ago. I'm mainly a guitarist, but I took some piano lessons from a guy. He was the one who showed me the modes from bright to dark, and that Lydian is actually the brightest. Let's go back to the guitar and play Lydian. So Lydian is just one note brighter than the major scale. By following the circle of fifths, we can tell that it must be. Compared to a major scale, it's got a sharp 4. So here's the major scale again. Lydian mode, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Otherwise it's just like a major scale. From root, now I'm back with my second finger on the 8th fret, 4th finger, 1st, 3rd to the sharp 4 there, 5, 6, major 7, 8. And those are the modes from bright to dark. Lydian, Ionian, Mixolydian are the 3 major modes, and 3 are minor. The Aeolian is what I call plain vanilla minor. Dorian just has a major 6 instead of the flat 6, and Phrygian is darker than Aeolian with a flat 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.